Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and if you want to see the coolest Sargent cylinder in the world, here it is. Not the coolest, but a really cool one. What I'm showing you today is a cylinder. I don't know that I've ever done a longer mortise cylinder than the one that I have here. What we have is a 54. This is a mortise cylinder. This is a 40 series mortise cylinder. This happens to be a 54, and a 54 is the number for length. Okay, and here it is. That's a 2 3/4 long mortise cylinder. They make a 56, which is a 3-inch. And then in the link below this video to the product catalog, you can view all of that. But gosh, that's really neat. Now, ordering a mortise cylinder from a factory like Sargent in a custom length is certainly always an option. And I wouldn't say that every manufacturer can give you long mortise cylinders like this, but Sargent can. They do have a limitation when it comes to their high security or patented keyways. Their degree system, I think, may max out 1.5 inch length. The project that I'm working on called out for a really unusual application. A bottom rail deadbolt in a 4-inch thick door where we could not center, for a limitation of hardware reasons, we could not center the lock body in that 4-inch thickness. So using cylinder guards on either side, we easily calculated the length of each cylinder required. 2 3/4 here, 1.25 inch here. Okay, so that's giving us the proper sort of 2 3/4 plus 1.25 inch. That's going to give us 4-inch. We were able to use those length cylinders because of the cylinder guard we have, which permits me 5/16 of an inch. It really only consumes about 3/16 of an inch or so of the head thickness inside. So my 4-inch is going to be reduced by what's consumed by the shoulder of the cylinder guard, but we're not going to the exact center of the lock body. We have to hold the cylinders back a little bit so that they operate correctly. Throw a couple of wave washers underneath the head here, and you're in business. So that's the application where I needed such a long cylinder. It all works just sublimely. The only problem that I had with Sargent sending me these two locks is that they sent the wrong cylinder cam. I had to grind down to give myself an MS, an Adams Wright style cam. Not a problem. That's certainly, I wouldn't never contact the factory for that if I could mitigate the problem on my own. So back to the product brochure. Our part number that we are dealing with is LA, and that's the keyway. That's the Sargent standard keyway. This is going to be a 6-pin cylinder, just keyed from the factory. They have the bitting and the keyway right on the head. Direct code is what that's called. When you can see when the information of the bitting of the key is on the head of the key, that'd be a direct code. Being all solid brass, of course, works incredibly smooth. So that's the LA part, LA keyway. They can certainly do this in their standard non-protected keyways in those funny lengths. But the reason they can't do the longer high security or patented keyway stuff is because the construction, the internal requirements of both the cylinder plugs and the cylinder housing itself, the plug and the housing, are unique. There's going to be machining that has to occur inside of there that apparently there's a limitation of manufacturing. The machines in the plant cannot do it when you're dealing with such a long piece of material. It would be like creating all kinds of really odd bends if you have a press brake and you're creating a custom shadow line hollow metal frame. Well, there's limitations as to the dimensional minimums that you can get to based on other dimensions. So I imagine that's why that is that way. So the 54, back to the product brochure, tells us the length, which is the 40 series. Solid brass, standard 1 5/32 thread diameter and thread type. Cap, brass, bronze, or stainless steel. This is a BSP, black powder coat. The client wanted black, and they're going to powder coat right over the face of that. The downside of powder coating, of course, is they're powder coating right over material, so you're going to lose you'll lose noticeable definition of anything that's been stamped on the face, but you can still certainly read it. furnished standard with a 97 rosette and compression spring. What that means is you're going to get a cylinder ring with it, the 97. That's going to sit underneath there. It'll come with it. You don't have to ask for it. It's going to be included. My job's not using it because we're using those fancy cylinder guards. Optional collar spacers are available. Sure, you can have lots of different spacers. Cylinder guards are available from Sargent. I've had them make me custom cylinder guards when I'm doing a custom lock where I have a really unusual length of cylinder that I'm limited to how far the cylinder can project into the lock case. So I will use a custom length cylinder guard to pick up the space, and Sargent, they accommodate me in that request. See the chart on page 8 for the cam required. The cam requirement is literally on the second page, and my part number is 101. That's their part number for an Adams Wright cam, and they shipped it with their standard cam, their 130664. Like I said, I took that off, I threw it on the bench grinder, and just brought it down to size. I've done that countless times. Other cams that can be tossed on the back of your cylinder are listed there as well. You could also get into other cams. I do see a Schlage beaver tail or cloverleaf style beaver tail, I guess. Some people will call it. A standard cam can be put on there as well. I generally find that my limitation on using any cam is just some time on the bench grinder, but being someone who plays in the sandbox of locksmithing as an amateur, you can get into making things work. Not endorsing that you do so, but sometimes you have to make things work because it's not correct. Those cams are listed there on page 2. Obviously, keyways. They're, as I had said earlier, to do a 6-pin is going to be standard. It's going to be drilled 6, pinned 6. You can do 7 pins when you get to a 42 minimum size, and that's 1 1/4. Your job could be a 7-pin Sargent for whatever reason. You can't do anything smaller than a 42. Mortise cylinder assemblies that are ordered without hardware are supplied with standard Sargent offset cam. Okay, so they just simply missed my part number of 101 or misinterpreted it. Again, not a problem. Cylinder finishes are all listed there. 3 for polished brass, 4 for satin brass, 9 for antique brass, 10 for satin bronze, 10B for oil rub bronze, 10BE for oil rub bronze equivalent. It's a powder coat dark brown. 10BL, that's probably a darker powder-coated oil rub bronze. If you have to know that for sure, let me know and I'll find out the answer. 15 for nickel. 20D? 20D. That one I want to look up. Black, maybe? I don't think so. A 20D finish. Oh, okay. So it's a dark statutory bronze that apparently is a Sargent Studio Collection finish. Dark statutory bronze, clear coated. Nice. You can Sargent 20D dark statutory bronze clear coat. That's going to be super dark with a clear coat, so it'll have some sheen to it, some reflection to it. It's a gorgeous finish if you want something dark. 32 for polished stainless, 32D for satin stainless, and then BSP, black suede powder coated, which is what we have here. We're going to do 2 plug finishes, 4 and 15. They did 15 on this, which I certainly don't begrudge them selecting a nickel type finish. 4 would have been better, which is satin brass. Okay. Just wanted to show you this cylinder. It's really super cool because it's so long and you don't bump into a need for these that often, and we've covered the rest of the details. There is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Sargent products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I'm partial to Sargent. I like the Sargent line because of how incredibly diverse it is. They have product solutions for problems that in an entire hardware career you may never bump into, or you may bump into only very occasionally, like a 2 3/4 mortise cylinder. Any questions on the Sargent 40 series mortise cylinder or any other Sargent product, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.